Hey, everybody, this is Tom Sega from Duluth Pack, and this is the Duluth Pack podcast, Leader of the Pack. We have a real leader today with us, and he's also a friend of mine. His name is Brian Hatch, and he is the president and CEO of AO Cooler Company, and we're going to have a fun time today. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Tom.
Oh, it's great to have you here. It's good to see your smiling face from Southern California, and we're coming to you from Northern Minnesota here. So let's jump right in, Brian, and we want to learn all kinds of great things about you and how you got to be the big dog at AO Cooler. But let's go all the way back and tell us where you grew up and where you went to high school and college and what you majored in.
Okay. All right. Well, I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and from there we moved to New Hampshire with my parents. I was actually adopted when I was 6 months old, and so went to New Hampshire for I think about a year or so, and then we had a place in Williamstown, Massachusetts. So if you're not familiar with Williamstown, that's where Williams College is located. So it's in the corner of Massachusetts, the top corner of Massachusetts. So we're about a mile away from Vermont and about 10 miles away from New York. Very small town. We had my high school was 7th grade through 12th grade, and it was 800 people. So you can imagine now we were just out with dinner with my son last night, and he has over 1,000 people just in his class.
Holy cow.
Yeah, his one class has 1,000 people, and our whole school had 800 people. A great town. They had a great theater there that my mom used to drag me to the theater every now and then. And we had a lot of stars there. Actually, that's where Christopher Reeves had a house in Williamstown, and he would frequent the Williams Theater. And Norm from Cheers, he would go there a lot and stuff. So it's kind of neat that we're such a small town and people would come from New York City and go to the theater and perform, you know. And I always didn't really like theaters too much, but when your mom says you got to come to me to the theater, then you got to go. So it was.
Norm had a bar stool there, I'm assuming.
He would go. I did a party. I parked the car for Christopher Reeves' party one time and stuff, and Norm came up and stuff, and I just had to do it. I said, "Hey, Norm!" He just kind of looked at me, not too happy.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's okay. You know what? That's what everyone knew him by, right?
Exactly. So yeah, Williamstown was a fun place. A lot of close friends there that we're still friends with. You know, I have a bunch of my buddies that I still talk to. One of my best friends who lives in New York now. I talk to him 2 or 3 times a week. It was a nice special place because you really became connected with your friends and the people there. And it's hard to do. It's hard to stay connected with people that you've been going to grade school with. I have 2 of my friends that I went to school at 1st grade, and who's my wife's friend now, and she's coming out in a couple of months. So it's neat to have that connection that we're 3,000 miles away, and we're still really very close to all of them. So we kind of call it the secret closeness of Williamstown and stuff. But it's a neat place, and we go back there every now and then. My dad lives in Vermont, and my sister lives in Vermont also, and my other sister lives in Colorado. But it was a great place to grow up. You know, left my keys in the truck, never locked the doors, drove around. Everyone knew everyone. Police knew me a little bit, which is good and bad, but but it was good. It was a nice place. Worked at kind of my first job. I had a newspaper route, the first job, and then I worked on a dairy farm. There was a horse farm right down the road from me. So I used to go down there and work on the horse farm, baling hay. You know, I think that's one of the ways I think I got my work ethic is working on the farm. And you got the guy who owned the farm, Dick DeMayo, just a manly man. You know, just picking up 2 bales of hay in one hand, 2 bales of hay in the other hand, and throwing them up to me and stuff. And you just had to work. You had to do the work because it was coming. You know, and so. I think that's where I kind of started with getting my work ethic is working on a farm, because it is hard work, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. You know, it was a good time.
Now I know where you got all those farm muscles.
Exactly. I always used to try to throw the bale up as high as he could. I could just never do it. You know, he was a true farmer. You know, those hands that are just, you know, he doesn't wear gloves. You know, his hands are the gloves and stuff. So it was neat, and definitely owe some of my work ethic to Dick DeMayo and working on a farm there and some of the other farms I worked. So
that's really cool that you were able to really pinpoint that work ethic. And I'm sure you can talk about that, being a business owner, about work ethic and what it really takes to be an entrepreneur like yourself, and the work that goes into it when everyone else goes home at night. And oh, by the way, that sometimes is that your day starts at that time, but you can track back to work ethic like that, Brian. That's amazing. So let's talk about college.
So I know we're doing a podcast here and everything, but I thought I would kind of let you introduce the college that I went to, because there's some kind of similarities on where I went to college and where you went to college. So I'll take my jacket off, and then you can read to people the college that I went to.
Oh my gosh. You know what, folks? I think my face is getting rubbed into something here, being that I'm a big hockey fan, and look at that. You know what? Thank God we don't have a screen on here, folks, but Brian is wearing the NCAA national champs UMass, who, yes, they beat our UMD Bulldogs from here in Duluth last year, and they became the national champions in hockey. Congratulations, Brian. UMass, you know, every once in a while, we have to let somebody from out east win this thing, right? No, great team. And I saw actually their coach being interviewed this weekend, because they literally made the national tournament just on Sunday. It was announced. Yeah,
it was good. I watched that, and when I was watching that, I was talking to my wife. I said, you know what? I know he went to school out there. I am going to wear the shirt. She's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. I said, oh, yeah, I'm excited to do that. I'm going to let him introduce my college, because we knocked him out in the Final Four. It's wonderful.
You know what? And folks, Brian has a huge smile on his face right now, because he's been waiting to throw me under the bus on this one. He's got that he's wearing that proudly. Now, Brian, let's ask you. So how are you on the skating gig?
Well, actually, I growing up on the East Coast, you know, I played hockey, youth hockey and everything, and played at the high school from 10th grade all the way up to 12th grade. So I'm definitely not, I haven't gone on the skates in a long time and stuff, but we were pretty good back then, you know. We had a great time playing hockey and everything, and hung out with everyone. So I wasn't bad. I had a pretty good slap shot. I played defense. People didn't get by me. I'll put you that way. I wasn't a goal scorer, but people didn't get by me too much.
Defensive defenseman, right? You know, you got to have those as well.
Yeah. I wasn't a goal scorer, but not too many goals got scored on me.
So at UMass, what did you major in?
So I kind of went a little bit of a roundabout way of going to school a little bit. You know, didn't do as well as I should have probably in high school and stuff, and went to a postgraduate year at a private school, Wilbraham Munson Academy, and then finally got my act together and found out that, you know, if you do the studies, you can do better on the test, you know. So kind of had to figure that out, and did that, and actually went to Plymouth State for a year, and then transferred over to UMass. UMass was always my dream school to go to. I just liked it. My sister went there. I like the size of it, you know, coming from a small town and a small school. I wanted to go to a big school. You know, I didn't want to know everyone and everyone's business. I wanted to go to the big school. So joined a fraternity there, and loved it. And so when I transferred in, I knew I wanted to do something in business. I was a sophomore when I got there, so I missed the chance to get into the School of Business. And so I was talking to my advisor and stuff. And I said, I don't care what it is, just get me into some kind of, you know, business college or something to do with marketing. He goes, well, you can go into apparel marketing. I was like, all right, apparel marketing it is, you know. And it's kind of ironic now because I'm kind of into the apparel with the coolers and stuff like that. So my major was apparel marketing at UMass and stuff, and it was great. It's college. I think is learning how to manage your time and manage your money and be successful at school and get through it. And that's what I did. Like I said, I was in a fraternity there, Theta Chi. Still have some friends that I talk to now, but wouldn't have changed it for the world. Absolutely loved UMass. It was a great place. It wasn't too far from home. I would go home quite a bit sometimes in the fall because I had a landscaping business that kind of put me through college. So I would do landscaping in the summertime, and then in the fall I do the cleanup, and then continue with school and everything. And actually, that was my first business I sold. So I sold it to my buddy and made a little bit of money doing that. But
an entrepreneur all the way back to college.
Yeah, I had to put myself through college, so I had to do something. So it was good. I liked landscaping. It was fun, mowing the yards and stuff like that and doing all that. So it was good. But UMass was great. I was still a fan of their fans. When I was there, UMass hockey had just started. And me and my buddy Adam Schauer, we'd go to the games and stuff, and there'd be like maybe 50 people in the stands because at the same time the basketball was going with Lou Rowe and Marcus Camby and everything, and those games were packed. You couldn't even get into those games and stuff. So it was a good time to be there. Basketball was great. Went to the Final Four in basketball. Hockey was just starting out, weren't that good and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty neat to see UMass when they're win the championship last year. That's a big accomplishment for kind of a newer hockey program, So I was rooting for them, and we'll be rooting for them for this year. We might meet up with you guys again.
We may, and it's always a great time of year for fans, whether it's March Madness with basketball or it's us hockey guys who have to see the Final Four in hockey, and it's down to 16 this weekend. So that's awesome.
Yep. Yeah,
so
it'll be good.
You graduate, you're kind of in the more of the apparel, the fashion end of things, but you take a turn and you go a little different direction as a transportation broker. Tell us about it.
Like I said, I wanted to get a degree in some kind of business, and then that was one that I could do, so I did it. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was looking at jobs at Target, at Marshall's, and stuff. And then I saw this job for exciting transportation broker. Knew nothing about it. But I was like, a broker? Yeah, there we go. That sounds nice. It sounds like I got paid a lot of money and everything. And so I interviewed for the job and everything. And they called me down and said, okay, let's talk to you and see what you're about. And so it was interesting, I didn't know anything about it. And basically, I think I had 2 interviews, and they called me back and said, you have the job. And I was like, perfect. And so the summer before, me and my buddies had planned, because I have a good friend that's from Australia, had planned to go to Australia right after college. And so I asked them, I get this job. I'm excited, to do it and everything. I think I started out at $32,000, and then I was excited in New York too, so it was pushing it. And then I had to say to him, hey, can I not start right away and wait 3 months, because I'm going to go to Australia and hang out and party with my friends. And I told that to the guy who was hiring me. He goes, Brian, take as long as you want. Have a great time. Do whatever you got to do. Because in his mind, he knew that I was coming out of college. I was going on this vacation. But then after that, then you're working. Then you're working. So it was nice. They gave me the okay. Went to Australia with 4 of the guys and stuff. Had a blast. And then came back and went to work. And basically, the company was C.H. Robinson. They're still around now and everything. I think a lot of people know about them. But when I started, basically you're just buying and selling transportation and produce, So we would buy the transportation for, let's say Coca-Cola. We'd say that we're going to buy these loads, and we'd buy them for this price and then sell them to the truckers for another price. And then also same thing with the produce, all the produce from California. We'd buy the produce from California and bring it into Hunts Point Market in New York, and then sell it off to all the customers there.
So Brian, can you explain to us how that works? Because does C.H. Robinson own their own trucks, or do they just work as the broker to say, hey, the company who wants to ship something, we know how to get it there for you on these trucking lines?
Correct. They don't own anything. They don't own anything. They have pods of offices across the United States. And basically like I said, they buy the freight and then sell it to the truckers. And the truckers call and they know C.H. Robinson has made that connection and has made the deal with the companies that they have the freight. Because if you're an owner operator, it's kind of like having a sales force. If you're one person trying to sell ale coolers to a bunch of people, it's hard. But if you have a rep group out there that's selling it for you, well, then you got a bunch of people, and that's basically what Robinson was. They're the center point of a brokerage firm, just buying and selling. And they were, I don't know if they were the first one, but we were pretty close to being one of the more successful ones in the industry. And what I liked about it, and that kind of helped me to where I am now and everything, is they had each office controlled its own entity. So you had the profit and loss, you had to account for everything. And then your salary and your bonus was based on what that office did. It didn't matter what the other offices did, it did what that office. So it kind of taught me, that, how to kind of run a business and with kind of big brother behind you, backing you up with the money and everything. It was fast paced. It was a lot of hours, 10, 11 hours a day and stuff like that. And sometimes you would lose. Sometimes you would gamble on something to say that I can move this load for, $4,000, and then you end up having to pay $5,000. And one thing that they taught me when I was there is, doesn't matter. If you have to lose, you told the customer you're going to do it, you do it, and that's why I think people like C.H. Robinson. And I learned from that. You tell a customer you're going to do something, you're going to do it. Doesn't matter if it costs you money or not. You'll get it on the next run.
Brian, so you had a pretty young guy, you had a lot of responsibilities and obviously a lot of accountability put upon you based on you had to run your own P&L at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I wasn't the manager of the office and stuff, someone else was, but you go through the whole thing. You're seeing how much money they're making. You know where your bonus is and where you have to, get to that. So you're going to try to hustle to get all those loads covered and stuff and get more business so you can get that bonus and stuff. So it was neat. I worked there in White Plains in Elmsford, New York for 3 or 4 years. And then they moved down to New Jersey and I worked there in New Jersey for about 3 years. And then got transferred out to California. That's kind of how I came out to California. Transferred out there with C.H. Robinson.
Horrible place to be, right? So, folks, we're taping this in the spring of 2022. It won't be aired for a while yet, but it's sleeting and snowing in northern Minnesota. And Brian gets on the air and he knows where I live and he knows where he grew up. And he says, just to let you know, Tom, it's in the mid 80s today. And it's like, hey, thank you, Brian. I think we have a bad connection today. So you get out to California and then let's talk about how did this AO cooler thing happen?
So one of the components for me coming out to California is what makes a guy move somewhere out of the blue? A girl, right?
There's the possibility there, Brian.
So I had my girlfriend Stephanie, who was out here, who had moved out to California and stuff. And kind of a funny story. She wanted me to come out to California. I was done with the snow and the sleet and all that stuff. And I said, well, find me a job and I'll come out there. And so what she does is she calls up C.H. Robinson and sees that there's job openings. So she calls up C.H. Robinson and says, yeah, my boyfriend, he might want to work for C.H. Robinson and be in California. And he goes, oh, really? Where is he? Oh, he's in New York right now and everything. He's like, okay. And she goes, well, what's his name? And she's not good at lying. She goes, well, his name's Brian Hatch. And the guy on the other line says, hey, I know him. I recruited him. And then she starts freaking out, like, don't tell him I did this. Don't tell him I did this. You know, he's going to get mad at me and stuff. And so she calls me up and she goes, Brian, he knows you. I said, you told him who I was? He goes, yeah, I couldn't lie. And so long story short, I was transferred out. She basically got me transferred out to California with C.H. Robinson. So I said, I'll come out there if I got a job. And she got me a job. So I came out here. And so her father was big into boating and everything. And so we'd go to the LA boat show every year. And so he says, Brian, you got to check out these coolers. You know, they're amazing. And I was like, all right, I'll check out a cooler. You know, a cooler's a cooler, right? And so he got a cooler and stuff. And I was like, that's kind of expensive, you know, so I'll wait on that and I'll let you get one. And so he gets one, and year goes past and we're using it and stuff like that. And he says, this thing is great. I said, yeah, that thing is pretty good. So we go back the next year to the LA boat show, and I pony up and get one and start talking to the owners and stuff, and real nice people, Jim and Sharon Huffman. They were a retired couple, and we're just, they bought the company, and we're just having a good time going around kind of the circuit, the boat circuit, just selling them. And so I used it for a year and everything, and it was great. And then finally popped the question to Stephanie to get married and stuff, and you have to get your groomsmen a gift and everything. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to get them all a cooler. I'm going to put their name on it. And she goes, yeah, that's a good idea. So I called them up and I said, hey, I'm going to buy, 8 coolers. Can you guys put my name on it? And they said, yeah, we can put your name on it and everything. And I said, okay. So I go there and the boat show again and buy the coolers, get all 8 of them. They have all the groomsmen's names on it. I said, oh man, that's awesome. That's great. This is going to be cool. This is going to be cool. Go to the wedding and everything. Wedding is great time. Great bunch of friends. We rented out because everyone I knew was back east, and I was like the only one out here. So we rented out this whole hotel because sometimes when me and my friends get together and stuff, we might be a little loud. So I just knew that we had to have the whole hotel. We couldn't do it with other people there. And so gave the coolers to them and everything. And they said, oh, these are great. These are great. And we put all 40 ounces in there and everything to, have a good time. And just went on with life. Kept using the cooler and stuff like that. And then every once in a while, my buddy would call me up, dude, this thing is amazing, man. This thing holds ice. It doesn't leak. It's amazing. And I knew I wanted to do my own business. I just didn't know what. I didn't know if I wanted to buy a restaurant. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I started looking at this cooler, I can go to boat shows and go hang out. I like doing that. I can be outside. It keeps beer cold. I like beer. It's simple. It's perfect. And so the next time I went to the boat show, I'd become pretty friendly with Jim and Sharon. I said right when I was leaving, because I knew I was going to say it when I got there. I knew I was going to say it, but then I started getting nervous. And so we were talking, and I actually walked away a little bit, and I said, hey, you gotta say it. So I go back to Jim. I said, hey, Jim, if you ever want to sell this company, give me a call. I'd be interested. He goes, okay, I'll let you know. And that was that. And went on working at C.H. Robinson. Actually, myself and my buddy Ken Schmidt, who was born and raised in Minnesota, because that's where C.H. Robinson's headquartered, in Minnesota. Both of us, he came out here to California, and we opened up our own office. And that's kind of like when you've made it, when you open up your own office, because now you're the managers of the office, and now you start getting the employees. So me and him opened up an office, just the two of us, in Upland, California. Opened it up the first year, did real well. We hired like 4 or 5 people, and just kept going. And Robinson's one of those companies that you can be there your whole life, because you're going to make it profitable for you. I was in when Robinson was still a little young. So if I wanted to stay with Robinson for the rest of my life, I'd be fine. I'd retire and I'd be good. Kenny still works for Robinson now, and everything. And so we were getting this office going and everything was going good. And then I got that phone call from Jim. He goes, Brian, you were the only one that said to give you a call if I ever wanted to sell the business. So I'm giving you a call. And I was like, oh boy, here we go now. You know, I just got what I wanted by, you know, starting an office with this guy that I just met who we connected instantly. And now I'm going to bail on him to go try to do this thing that I've never done before, you know? And I knew that I couldn't do it part-time. I knew it was something that if I'm going to do it, I can do it 100%, you know? And so I talked to my wife. She still was working and everything like that. We went up there and talked to them, and they gave us the price and gave us the numbers and everything. And numbers looked great, you know. And I said, "Oh, this is cake. This is going to be good. This is going to be good." And so we decided to do it. You know, we decided to buy the company from them. It was a tough day to go in and see Kenny and tell him that I'm leaving him. He was kind of shocked, but he knew also that if I was going to do this, that he was 100% supportive, because you can't tell someone they can't go do their own business. If you're going to another company, if I was going to Schneider or something like that, it'd be a little different. But if someone's going to go try to do their own company, you got to kind of let them, you know.
Chasing a dream, right?
Yeah. Chasing the dream. I didn't know what that dream was. We bought the company. I messed up on the numbers. We almost went bankrupt the first year that we were doing it.
What year was this?
So Jim and Sharon started American Outdoors in 1990. Okay, they started it in 1990. I went to the boat show. I put some notes down here. In 1997 was the first time I saw the cooler, and then finally Stephanie and I bought the company in 2003.
So we're well into this now, but tell us about that, because you buy the company and those first couple of years are generally pretty challenging.
It was, you know, I didn't really know about percentages, you know, when I would, and you have to think too, I looked at the numbers and I said, this looks pretty good. If these guys can do this, then, you know, I should be able to do it. And what I didn't realize is they had a pension and retirement supplement and all their money, you know? And so they were going to shows and going around doing that stuff. And I knew that I can't build a successful business going around doing boat shows and doing that stuff. My goal was to get them into stores and sell them wholesale. Now, I didn't know much about wholesale. When I started looking into wholesale and what they were selling wholesale from and what I needed to sell wholesale from, it was night and day. They were making, I think, 15-20% selling it to wholesale. And I never forget it, because I went to my first store here in Corona, and it was Taiga Water Sports, and the guy's name was Chris, and I went in with the pricing, and I showed him the 15-20%, and he looked at me, he goes, I'm going to do you a favor. He goes, you'll never make it selling it for this price. This is the price that you need to be at. And I remember that because it definitely helped me out, and to have a store owner who, instead of taking advantage of you and saying, okay, yeah, here, I'll buy it for this price. You know, I wouldn't make it. He told me what I had to sell it for. And that was the first time where I started learning the percentages of what I had to sell. And still, I'm sure you know too, like, percentages are just killer. You know, they're so hard to figure out what the exact is the right percentage. But that's how I started selling wholesale to Taiga Sports and Corona. And Shockwave Boats was my first boat company that I started selling it to. But during that time, and it was like a year and a half, that the numbers just weren't making it. It just wasn't making it. And I had a deal with them where I was paying them for the business and stuff. I didn't buy it outright. And so I went to my father and I said, Dad, I need to go to these people and just pay them a lump sum and be done with it. Or I have to give them back the business. That's how bad it was, because the numbers weren't jiving. I didn't look at them close enough, and it just wasn't going to work for what I needed to do. And so I went back to them and said, this isn't working for me. I can give you back your business and I'll go back to C.H. Robinson, or I'll give you this lump sum and we'll see if it works. And they said, not a problem, give us the lump sum. Now I was kind of happy and a little disappointed because now I really, now I owe my dad money.
Now I'm in. I've put both feet, both arms, and I've jumped in.
Yeah, so now I'm completely in with my dad and everything. And then it started kind of taking off. You know, I started once I learned how to do the wholesale. And Tom, I was selling these coolers out of my house. I didn't have money to get a warehouse or anything, so I was up on our second floor in the guest room on the computer, talking to people on the phone, website sales coming in, trucks coming into a residential area, you know, 18-wheelers, putting them in my garage and stuff. I had my neighbor coming over to help me unload them. He's like, what's going on? I said, hey, this is my life. Let's get going. So I had all the neighbors come over. When the truck come, I'd have my neighbors come over. We all unload the boxes and stuff, and then put them in the garage. And at that time, I was buying them from a place in Texas that we got all the coolers from. And then it just started growing and growing. You know, I think the biggest growth that we saw back then was when Hot Boats did a article on our cooler about how well it works. And then at the next LA Boat Show, we just went crazy, you know, just selling them left and right, like no other. And that was kind of the start of saying, okay, we got something good here. Let's figure out how to keep it going and stuff. And it kind of took off from there. That was kind of the looking back on what it did and everything, you know. So,
you know, you talk about those margin dollars, and a lot of our listeners, if you're thinking of being an entrepreneur, starting your own business or buying a business, the margin dollars pays all the bills, right, Brian? And if your margin's too skinny, you're not going to be a healthy company, and we're no good to our customers, whether that's a wholesale customer or end user, if the companies aren't healthy as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you learn very quickly what works and what doesn't work, you know. So it was good. It was good. That's how I got it going.
What does the current structure at the company look like? Obviously, you're the president and CEO, and you're the visionary, and we'll talk about a couple things that you've done as the visionary with acquisitions and whatnot. But what does the team structure look like at the company?
So we have a bunch of reps out there that work for us and stuff. That do a lot of our sales and stuff. In the office, we have 9 people. It's myself, who's obviously the CEO and president. We have some long timers there. We have a girl, Amber, who has been there for over 15 years with us, who has been great. I remember when she came into our warehouse and her father was there and goes, hey, you need someone to work? I was like, yeah, always looking. Well, she works at Albertsons. She doesn't like it there anymore. You want to hire her? I was like, all right, let's go. so her father kind of sold her out to come work with us and stuff. And that was 15 years ago. She was still in high school when she started working for us. And she's still with us now. She just had a baby, so she's on maternity leave. So we're anxiously waiting for her to get back and stuff. But to see her grow with the company and do the responsibility, she's the office manager. She does a lot with promotional, the items that we do and everything. Also works with a big international customer that we've been working with for years and everything. But she's definitely the glue in the corporation on, you know, keeping stuff going. Works with Amazon and stuff, which is a task in itself to work with and everything. So. She's done a great job. We love having her. We also have Kristen that is there. That's kind of the assistant to Amber, who helps out with Amazon and fulfilling orders and everything. She's been there for quite a while also, and she's grown tremendously also. You know, like having a smaller business, there's different roles that you have to do and stuff. So it was nice that when Amber left, Kristen just jumped right into Amber's role and was able to kind of take over. Now, that's hard to get for an employee to do, to take over for someone who has been there for so long, and to have the work ethic to do it. One of the acquisitions that we did, we can talk about later, we bought a import business, which the owner of that, his name was Mike, and so we bought his business. And he's come over and helped us out a lot. And that's some of the stuff that we're going forward with about selling more than just coolers. We do a lot of import for West Marine and everything. And so he's been real good to have on the team. His vision, he's coming up with products, left and right. Sometimes I have to tell him to slow down. We have 15 new products and we only have these going and stuff. Well, it's nice to get a fresh person into the company instead of just relying on me. He helped out a lot with taking some of that stress off and getting the product going that needs to be going, And then we have Darren there, who's our sales manager and logistics manager. He just came on about 6 or 7 months ago. He's controlling our off-road sales and stuff, and doing our logistics. Just having a warehouse, it's hard to figure that stuff out and get it going. So he's doing that. And then we have Don, who is our outside sales guy, who's been with us just as long as Amber, about 15 years, and he does all our outside sales and stuff. And then we have Ricky on the East Coast, who does our marine sales and stuff. He's a VP of sales and Marine. He's in the marine industry for over 25 years. Good friend of mine that I knew from Seattle and that worked in the marine industry. And we finally were able to bring him on 2 years ago. So we're getting a lot of people in place. Our warehouse guy, Isaiah, he's been with us for 6 or 7 years. So I'm kind of proud of the people that come to work for us. They stick around for a long time, So I don't know if that's that they like working for me or what, but it's nice to not have as much turnover as some companies do, to have people stick around for a long time. And then
that's a lot of loyalty, when you start seeing people hang around like that, and it's a lot of peace of mind for you as the leader of your companies that that you do own. Talk to us a little bit about your import business that you acquired.
So if people aren't familiar with it, basically bringing an import. We do it in larger volumes. So we're doing it in containers, So if a company wants to buy something, you can't just buy 200 of them. You got to buy 3,000 or 4,000 of them. So he was doing that with, he started with paddle boards and then started doing it with West Marine. And so West Marine is one of our bigger customers. And so he was bringing this stuff in as import. They don't have to have a warehouse. They don't have to have anything, but they didn't really have a name, because you don't really have a name because you're bringing in West Marine merchandise. It's the West Marine name, so you don't really have anything. So me and him had done some business in the past. I sold him my SUP coolers and stuff. And so he used those and stuff. We just had become friends. Then we just started talking more and more about doing stuff, and finally decided to kind of come together and bring it all under one roof so that his import stuff can have a name to it, where it's AO, where we have a brand name and everything. And then we can do both import and domestic. So the nice thing about that is now we can offer customers, if they want to bring in that whole container, we'll bring in some of it ourselves and hold it. So if they run out of that container, now we can fulfill it with smaller orders, which in this day and age is crucial because it used to take 14 to 16 days for that ship or container to come across the sea. It's taken 30 or 40 days now, and it also brought in new products. We're selling paddle boards. We're getting into the bumpers for it, the inflatable bumpers, the flat bumpers. We're doing pads and stuff, inflatable. I don't know if you see them. They're like inflatable islands that you put in. You can put on the lake and stuff like that. We're getting into those. The hard paddle boards we sell to West Marine. We're getting into the EVA to put into the boats, into the off-road market. So it kind of opened up my eyes to get out of just being just with coolers to do more of a marine and off-road segment, and that kind of led us to kind of doing the whole rebrand that we did just recently.
Before we get into your rebrand, Brian, can you tell our listeners about the product line? And you started in the soft-sided coolers, which I will tell people, I have 2 of your coolers and they are many years old. These things are amazing. And I'm not saying it because Brian Hatch is sitting right in front of me right now. You want a soft-sided cooler, you have got to go and check out AO Coolers, because they are the bomb, and the price point is a really good price point for the premium high quality product that you are actually getting. So a little commercial there, but I'm a consumer of your products, and our listeners need to know the quality is the highest that you can get. And oh, by the way, your beer is going to stay cold, or your soft drinks will stay cold, or your lunch meat. So a great product, and as you've grown. So tell us about the different products. You talked about the marine in the beginning, but then you've expanded. So bring us from the marine forward and what you've done.
Well, what we did when I first bought the company, we just had the canvas coolers, and it was just a regular 600 DIN polyester canvas. And it was all made for, basically the boats. The cooler was made to, the tagline that they had, doesn't scratch your boat, doesn't tear up the upholstery, and guaranteed not to leak. That's what I bought the company with a tagline, and we still have it. And so we went out to the boaters and stuff, and we just had the canvas. And then they were taking them to the desert out here in California. I know you think it doesn't get cold, but we have a winter here, and that we don't go boating, then we go out to the desert. And so the canvas was getting dirty. So then we went to these vinyl series, and everything's kind of progressed from there. We have a carbon series that, looks really nice and everything. And then we just came out with a ballistic series cooler. So real strong cooler, looks nice, washes off real easy and everything. We just wanted to kind of expand on that. And we did dabble in the hard cooler business for a little bit because everyone was doing it, and I jumped on the bandwagon and said, all right, let's do these hard coolers and stuff. And we've kind of gotten out of it. It's not who AO is. When we did the rebrand that we'll talk about, why I bought the company is because the cooler did exactly what you want to do. It holds the ice and it doesn't leak. I wanted something that was simple. It doesn't mess up your car. It's easy to carry. You don't have to put a weight belt on to lift it up or anything like that. You can take it to the hotel room. You can take it on an airplane with you. You can take it to a friend's house. I tell people all the time when I was selling them, I said, you want the smallest cooler you can get away with because you'll use it more. And I'd be at shows and the guy says, well, don't you want to sell me the big one? I said, no, I don't want to sell you the big one. If you want to get it, you can, but you're not going to use that one as much as you use a smaller one because you can pick that thing up and put it in your car and go with it, So we kind of found our roots on what we were. And I've been telling people for years, you don't want a hard cooler. You don't want a hard cooler because it'll mess up your boat and stuff. And then I jumped on the bandwagon and found out that's not what our company is about and what we want to be. And so we've gotten out of the hard cooler business, and we stuck with the soft-sided. And we're doing great with it. One of the neat products that we just came out with that my wife actually thought of was the leopard print cooler. And I'm telling you, when she came to me, I was like, I don't know about a leopard print cooler. I don't know about this. And so we did a little test markets on it and stuff. And the thing's flying off the shelves, and then I started thinking, we started looking around. There's not really a soft cooler that's really targeted to the women, Sometimes you have a pink cooler and stuff like that, but it isn't really a target, And so it's been growing great. And that is made in our factory in Kingsport, Tennessee. And that is what's neat about it. We put on the hang tag, that factory, all the sewers are women. My wife owns the company. And so it's women owned and it's made by women for women. It's great. I love it. It's a great product made right here in the USA. And I'm telling you, people come into the store, they just buy it, you know, because they're used to just getting a cooler for the husband, you know. This is a cooler that they can use for themselves, you know.
Ryan, tell us about the acquisition of the manufacturing facility in Tennessee.
So this is it's probably one of my proudest things that we've been able to do in the last couple of years. So when we started, so American Outdoors, like I said, was founded in 1990. They would buy the coolers from Easy Seat in Tennessee, in Kingsport, Tennessee. That's when they started. When I bought the business from them, there had been a disagreement. So they had switched factories and gone with a Texas company to buy the coolers from. And so when I bought the company, I was buying from a Texas facility, and they would make the coolers for us and everything. And, you know, we would sell them to the consumers and stuff. Learning about percentages, learning about what I can make and stuff like that, I proposed to them that we kind of merge together, because I couldn't make the margins I needed to make by going with just them. They didn't want a partner. So the next thing that I had to do, unfortunately, was had to go overseas so I could get my margins to sell to a distributor that I have to pay 47%, and then he has to, you know, give his percentage to. But I knew I still had to have a U.S. factory, and I knew when I went overseas that they're going to drop me right away. So I contacted the old company, Easy Seat, and talked to them. I said, hey, I want to come back and start working with you guys, but it's not going to be full time because I have to make these other margins. He's like, as long as you give us some business, we're happy with it. So I cut ties with the company in Texas, started going overseas and making the coolers there and everything, and started a relationship with Easy Seat in Tennessee. Went through the years of working together and everything. Landed a big customer that needed the coolers made in the U.S. So really increased our production with the Tennessee facility. And he was having some problems, and I turned to Steph. I said, I think we should buy the Tennessee facility. We can't afford to let them go out of business because we have a big customer that is needing the coolers and stuff. And then we won't run out of coolers. Went through the numbers again. You know, my accountant says, don't do it. Don't do it. A lawyer said, don't do it. Don't do it. So I said, all right, let's do it. And so it was great. I got it just in time. It was about to go under. We've had it now for, I think we're going on our 4th year and everything. Again, you know, just like anything, it's a struggle to get a business to go back up, and definitely in these times to, you know, keep a USA factory going with a shortage of employees and stuff. It's hard, but to see the people work there, and the person that's been there for, I think 36 years she's been there. Her name is Brenda Tippin, and Easy Seat is the first original. They are the ones, I don't care what anyone says, they are the original high quality soft sided cooler. I don't care what anyone else says. They are the number one. There was no one else before them that was doing it. And Brenda's been there since day one. And so before I bought the company, after all my guys said, don't do it, I said, Brenda, if you're staying, I'll buy it. But if you're leaving, I can't do it. She goes, I know nothing else. I don't know what else to do. So I'll be here as long as you have me. I said, all right, let's do it. And so it's going great. We have on our website, you can buy USA coolers and stuff. We sell them to stores. We have a big customer that does it. It was just good to get around. And I've called you a couple of times, Tom, because I'm not a manufacturer. It was all new to me on how do we do this? Again, the percentage thing, right? How do we, what do we charge for this? What does it actually cost to make this cooler? It was all new to me, and so we had to figure it out. But they're thriving now. I love having them. I've made a cooler or two. I'm not that good, but it's amazing to see how hard those ladies work there to get those coolers out. It's very impressive. So it's kind of neat if you do a circle, because Jim and Sharon started with this company, Easy Seat, They went away from it. Then I went away from the other company and then became successful. And now I'm back to square one where we bought it. You know, it was, what's that old commercial with a shaver, right? I like the company so much I bought it.
Exactly. You're the Victor Kayam of soft-sided coolers, Brian.
I think we're showing our age now because a lot of people probably don't know that.
Well, you know what? That's their loss then, right? So in 2019, you purchased the manufacturer in the United States. You straightened that all out. And in 2020, in the middle of all this COVID, which we all know the outdoor industry has done pretty well during the COVID time. So some of us have been blessed, but you decided to do a rebrand. What's the thought behind that? And what is the new name of the company?
So yeah, kind of like a lot of people in 19, everything shut down for us. It was very scary. I was getting my resume to go back to C.H. Robinson because, you know, when Amazon and you call Amazon and West Breed and all these big stores, and they say, hey, we're not giving any more POs, things dry up real quickly. And so my friend who has been, with me, KJ, with C.H. Robinson, who's always kind of helped out and everything, he goes, dude, this is the time. There's no more shows, okay? So I'm not spending money on travel. I'm not spending money on going to shows, saving a bunch of money, which is nice. He goes, this is your time to rebrand. You know, you need to take all your stuff, give AO Coolers a fresh look, find out what AO Coolers is about. I had purchased Mike's business, so we were getting into other stuff. So instead of having just AO Coolers, we had to find something that just said AO. And so we hired this company, Four Fins, and it was truly amazing. They took all the information. We said we want a new logo, we want a new, no look on everything. I talked to them for probably about 4 or 5 weeks, and they give this presentation and tell me what AO is about. And halfway through that presentation, I got like a tear coming out of my eye because they just nailed it. They nailed what we were about. We're about, people on the go, people going out on their boats, people going out on their motorcycles, being active, going camping, going out and doing all these things. You're not the cooler company that's sitting by the fire and having a latte and stuff like that. You're not going out on a picnic. That's not you. You're AO and go. And they said that AO and go and stuff. And it was amazing how it all came together. I've been looking for that for so long, for someone to bring it together and stuff. And being a business owner, you think you can do all that stuff yourself, but when you have someone like that and you give it to them for 4 or 5 weeks and they come back and hit it spot on, it was probably one of my proudest moments of what AO is about. And that's what we did. They changed our whole logo. It's just AO now. And then they have lines that can represent, I know people can't see it, but it can represent a flag or waves in the ocean or sand in the desert. And that's all our stuff. We have American-made products. We deal with the boat industry. We deal with going out to the desert. And that little emblem on the side of it, I first looked at it, I said, what is that thing? That thing is stupid. Turns out to be one of the best things that's out there, That's always what happens. I look at it, that doesn't look right, and then we get it. So it was Four Fins they hit it out of the park for us, and that's what we're doing now. We have a rebrand coming up. It'll be past when this comes out, but we have a rebrand coming out next week and everything. And just looking forward to it. I had to rebrand everything, but it was a lot of work doing a rebrand. It took over a year. Took over a year and a half.
Absolutely. And kudos to you to think of that. You can't do it all internally, and that there's smart people out there that we can hire to help us out. Brian, briefly, can you tell us, AO does some philanthropic, and I know that you partnered with Stand Up for Cancer. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about what that's about and why it's so important to you and your family?
Yeah, well, we were looking for something to kind of support. My mother passed away from breast cancer. Stephanie's mother, my mother-in-law, passed away from cancer also. And, it was something new. I didn't want to do like a run thing or anything. And the guy came and said, hey, we're doing a paddleboard thing. on the beach on Newport and camping. And I was like, this is something I can get into. You know, we can have all our campers there. We can go out and paddleboard. We can raise money and have a party and stuff at the end. It was like something that was, you know, made for us to happen. And so we started teaming up with Dan, and I think we had 13 campsites the first time. Had all our friends come out there and everything, and just had a blast on it. And the first couple of years we got beat, but the last 3 or 4 years we've been the #1 donor for raising money for the event and stuff. It closed down because of COVID and stuff, and so it's starting back up. We'll get back involved with it, but it definitely was something that I'm proud to, you know, be a part of. People are still being affected. One of our good friends back in Williamstown or Lanesboro just passed away 3 days ago from an 8-year battle. So it's something close to our heart. It's still going on, so we like to support it. You know, it's fun. You know, you want to have a good time and go out there and paddleboard and have a fun time doing it. But like our friends and everything, they've been very supportive of it. It's been great. They have a good time. You know, they're always putting out money and everything towards it. So it definitely wasn't possible without friends and family helping out. So there's everyone on deck helping. You know, we do a big cookout at the end and stuff, and so it's fun. We like doing it.
Well, thank you for giving back and AO giving back to great causes, and that's important to everyone. So Brian, we're going to transition now. We're going to go a little personal on you. This last segment are just a couple of really quick questions for you called the Packed Question segment. And this is all about you. What's your favorite vacation spot?
Is it just one, or do I get a couple?
Well, I don't know.
My favorite vacation spot, there's a campsite in Carlsbad Campground, and it overlooks the ocean. So we take our camper out there, you put the tailgate down, and you think you're living with the big boys, and you're looking at the same ocean view that they paid $10 million for. So that's one of my favorite ones. And then we used to vacation in Rhode Island. So Rhode Island's special to my heart, going back there and vacation on the beach in Green Hill Beach.
What is your favorite musician or band?
My favorite musician would have to be Dave Matthews Band. I started listening to them in New York and stuff. And first of all, I used to be a drummer. And so their drummer is unbelievable. He's one of the best ones out there. And they just jam. If you haven't been to one of their concerts, yeah, you just get lost. They just jam. It's just it's something different, you know. It's neat. I love it.
Biggest fear?
Biggest fear. I don't like roller coasters too much. I don't like roller coasters.
Bad experience as a young fella.
Yeah, exactly.
So Brian, can you give us all of your handles? How can people find you on social media, all the different social mediums, and what's your website?
So the website is still aocoolers.com. And that's our website for everything out in California. And then our Tennessee facility is Hatch Coolers, HATCH, coolers.com. And then all the Instagrams are AO Coolers at Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and everything. So
thank you, Brian. And folks, support great companies like this. We have an entrepreneur here who took the risk, went through the dark days, didn't give up because of the hard work he learned while he was throwing hay bales as a young man, that you don't give up, you keep just throwing those hay bales, and has become very successful. Our special guest today has been Brian Hatch, President and CEO of AO, formerly AO Coolers and Hatch Coolers. Brian, thank you so much for being here and taking the time. We've learned a lot and about hard work and perseverance.
Thanks for having me, Tom. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Thanks.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and we're going to be able to make a lot of fun of each other after this, I would think. So,
absolutely.
Folks, this has been Brian Hatch, President and CEO of AO and Hatch Coolers. And until next time, unplug from the indoors and recharge in the outdoors. Outdoors.